This week, we expose why billionaires never sell their stock, yet live like kings. But first, Joe Lombardi pulls back the curtain on a financial strategy so controversial, Wall Street hopes you never discover it. The truth about your 401k match isn't what you think, and that's exactly how they want it. You don't want to miss it. Welcome to the Brian Nichols Show. Instead of focusing on winning arguments, we're teaching the basic fundamentals of sales and marketing and how we can use them to win in the world of politics, teaching you how to meet people where they're at on the issues they care about. Welcome to the Brian Nichols Show. Well, hey there, folks. Brian Nichols here on another fun-filled episode of the Brian Nichols Show. We'll see, because today we're having a good friend and returning guest jump back here on the show to talk about, oh goodness, yes, what could happen, worst case scenario, were Kamala Harris to, in fact, win the presidency. We're going to talk about some of the worst policies from the Kamala Harris, potential Kamala Harris administration. Why are they so dangerous and what you can do to protect yourself and more. Joining me to discuss all that today from Iron Hawk Financial, it's Iron Hawk with Joe Lombardi. Welcome back, buddy. How you doing?
Awesome, Brian. Always a pleasure to see your handsome face, man.
Oh my goodness! Come on, Joe. Man.
Yeah,
you're gonna make me more blush than I already am. It's a Money Talk with Iron Hawk, Joe Lombardi. What's been going on in your world besides watching our world slowly, I don't know, crumble, catch on fire, get all crazy and wild? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how you take a look at why is it catch on fire, because people are realizing what the heck is going on. The Great Awakening. I didn't really believe it when I started hearing that right around like 2021, end of 2020, like Great Awakening, like just people are asleep. And then I'm talking to clients, prospects across the state because I'm national. And these people are saying the same things I'm saying. And I'm like, what? Like, where'd you hear that? They're like, oh, it's, I do my research. And you're like, wow, like it's crazy. But what's going on with me? Just growing, man. Growing everything. My bank account, my team levels, my numbers, my annuity sales, my rollovers. The only thing I'm not growing is my belt size, because I'm going to the gym trying to do the Brian Nichols strategy, man. If you can do it, I could do it, man. If you can go from how you look to how you look now, I can do it too, brother.
I love to hear it, man. I actually was saying beforehand, you can notice it, right? Like you can notice those LBs starting to drop. Feels pretty darn good, eh?
Oh, man, I've been doing this about 6 weeks with a personal trainer, and I can tell you the difference in how I feel, how I look in the mirror, my strength. Oh, my God. Building my core up. Like, I didn't use my core since high school, and I'm 40. The only thing I held my core was my belly to hold my beer at Yankee Stadium, so it's definitely feels a lot better. I have a lot more energy. I start loving myself more.
Yes.
It's a great feeling to look in the mirror and not be disgusted with who you see in the mirror, and at least say, you know what? Not where I want to be, but I'm way better than I was yesterday. And it's the best feeling ever.
There's two things you said there. First, yes, you don't realize you expect to get more energy. Everybody's like, I don't have time to work out. I'm already tired as it is. No. When you work out, you feel immeasurably better. You get so much more energy. It's wild. But number two, and you mentioned this, Joe, you went and you recruited an expert for help, right? You didn't just go into the gym and aimlessly stand there looking around saying like, bench press, squat, where do I start? You went in, you had an expert. They had a plan after they sat down with you. I'm sure they did like a whole body composition analysis, health analysis, fitness analysis. And they said, okay, Joe, here's where you're at. Here's where we're going to end up. And here's what we got to do to get there. Is that pretty accurate?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. See, and that right there, that is why you're here today, right? Because what you saw for the benefits of bringing in an expert and talking about what they can do to help you with your health, that's why you're here to talk about finances, right? And talking about not just what people can do to have a more positive, beneficial financial opportunity and experience, but also the red flags, things we need to look out for. And let's just look at where we are from a 35,000 foot overview, Joe. Right now, we're recording here on October 21st, 2024. The election is a short, 2-3 weeks away, which is just insane to think about. So now all of a sudden, all the policies that have been talked about from the Republicans, from the Democrats, from the Trump administration, from the Harris administration, all of a sudden these ideas are starting to get more real, right? And I'm seeing a very clear discrepancy between one team's policies and the other team's policies. That's not to say I agree with all policies from one team or disagree with all policies from another, but there's definitely a contrast. So, Joe, let's take your expert opinion here and expert perspective. Help us paint the picture. Trump's policies, Harris policies. Where do they differ? Where do they align? And which ones do you think I know your answer, but which ones will lead America to a better future?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the Democrats, right, their plan really is to invest in poverty. And unfortunately, when you invest in poverty, you get poverty, right? If these poorest communities knew what to do with the money, they would have already done it, right? You're talking about the inner cities. They have more money than any other place in the United States. They're the poorest. Why? Is it corruption? Sure. Are they stealing some of your money? Yeah. But at the end of the day, they're investing most into the school systems, into the cities, into the towns. But what they're doing with the money is they're giving it, even in the blue cities, by the way, they're giving it to a lot of people for Section 8 housing, like developers, contractors, home people. And a lot of that money gets siphoned off because there's one thing you can guarantee, you pay taxes, you die, and the government's not going to be efficient with the money that they spend. That's just the three things that happens. Doesn't matter if it's red, blue, purple, makes no difference. But when you take a look at the blue policies, right, it's all running on group, hold hands, worldwide, globalism. Screw the fact that we're Americans, open the border, let anybody in. We're all the same worldwide, but unfortunately we're not. Unfortunately, if you live in a city or a town, you can go to that next city or town next to you and you can't walk down the street, whether it's because of your color, your skin, whether it's because how you look, your age, your favorite football team or baseball team, your religion, right? This isn't the Sweden, right, where everybody is the same, where they're all same culture, same breed, same language, same religion. It's the United States of America. So we are different races, we are different religions, we are different languages, we are different socioeconomic policies. I mean, look, we had the immigrants come in, and what did they start doing? They literally, I saw live videos of people roasting cats and dogs in their front yard and eating them. Right. And then that hit song came out, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, eat the cat, like it's hilarious. They make these little TikTok videos, my daughters and sons love it. But so if you understand that we have all these different cultures and stuff, the Democrats really try to give it to the minority. Right. And that's why they had the black vote for so long, until most black people woke up. We're like, yeah, every 4 years, they're like, oh, we love you. And then the other 3 years and 363 days, they don't do a darn thing to help their community, their quality of life, their troubles, or anything. Then you have the Republicans, right? They're more take care of the majority, right? Protect human life, right? Conservatives. Well, do you know what the word conservative means? It means you have something to conserve. So if you are broke, if you are young with blue hair and 3 nose rings and 4 baby daddies, of course you're a liberal. Of course you're a Democrat, because you're saying, give me my free stuff. I want free stuff. I had sex. I had all these kids. Now give me my $3,000 a month because I got to feed these kids, right? Conservatives are different, right? At least I can speak for me and most of my clients. They have businesses. They have high income jobs, but do they get those for free? Does businesses grow on trees? Does having employees and healthcare and 401ks, is that just easy? Managing people, is that easy? Setting up, calling, providing value, is that easy? No, it's not easy. So people that are conservatives are the most hardworking people in this country. And then what they do, they try to say, oh, no. The ultra wealthy. Yeah, if you're the CEO of Apple and you're making $15 million a month, Yeah, sure. I'm with you. I think it's ridiculous. Cool. But the majority of people that run businesses aren't those guys. How many CEOs are there in the country?
Thousands,
200?
tens of thousands, probably.
Well, I'm saying high
Oh,
CEO,
the top,
right?
yeah.
Fortune 500. That means only 500 of those people. And there's 350 million of us. Do the math. What is that? One for every 10 million? 1 million?
Fraction of a percent.
So I believe what the Democrats do is they try to say, look, owning is bad because look at those CEOs. Well, we all know it's bad. We all know nobody deserves $15 million a month. That's common sense. But then they don't have that same mindset for the person that owns a landscaping business, the person who owns a mason company, who's dealing with thousands of pounds of concrete a day, busting his hips, his backs, his arms, providing value. So you have a stone wall, you have a surround tub for your pool, you have that's what people don't understand, is that they get brainwashed by one way or the other. Right. The funny thing is I was dead middle maybe 5 to 10 years ago. Now I'm like ultra right wing because I think that you shouldn't teach my 3 children about sex. That should be something I teach my children about.
Hey, Joe, really quick, by the way, I'm just curious. What was the tipping point for you? Like, what was the thing that said, yep, that's it. I'm jumping head first into this right wing political ecosystem?
It was 2016. It was Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump. And a lot of my friends, I used to have, 7,000 friends on Facebook. And all the ads and the fighting and the bickering, I said, I'd rather have a business guy, because I come from a business world. I've worked in Wall Street. I know how horrible Wall Street is. I know how horrible business can be. Well, you want to talk about the most horriblest business in the world? That would be government. They decide whether you live or die, whether they're going to drop a bomb on your house or on your neighbor's house, whether they come into your home with guns drawn, pull you out of your bed while you're sleeping, and throw you in jail because you weren't a good enough slave to them by paying them federal, state, FICA, Medicare, unemployment, Social Security tax. Okay. So I know that Donald Trump came from New York. Right, and everyone loved him, including Oprah, and he won the like best white person to love black person award in the world. And then all of a sudden he's racist 10 years later, right? And that's really what woke me up, because I love rap music. Back in the day, I had a rap CD. My name was J Money, and like I had this, it was like I was part of the culture. Right? I had no mom. I was in the streets with my friends all the time. We used to ride our bikes. I don't believe that. Ride our bikes for hours. Jeez, when the last time you saw a kid on a bike?
Never.
So the way I grew up was blue collar to the core. My dad owned a construction company. My grandfather owned a masonry company. My brother was in the car business, and it was just all blue collar, hard work, and then growing up with the kids and everything. And then when they started attacking Donald Trump because his merit is he's the man, he's a billionaire, he won. We're all playing the game of Monopoly. And you're saying the guy who won the game out of hundreds of millions of people who haven't won the game, and you're saying that's a bad guy? He had no sex scandals. He had no crazy things. He paid some girl, Stormy Daniels, to like not say what he did. He said he's going to grab some girls by some place they shouldn't. Who hasn't been in a locker room? Like, who hasn't said some stupid stuff, whether you're drinking, you're in college, or in high school, you're privately with your friends? Like, and they try to base that, that's who he was when he was a winner, right? And he had so many tracks. When he was a Democrat, he was a winner. Everyone loved him. Mainstream media loved him. Oprah loved him. He's on the show kissing babies. He's hanging out with rappers. And all of a sudden, he's like, hey, I'm going to run for Republican. They're like, we hate you. You're racist. You're horrible. And I'm like, do you guys not know where he was like 3 years ago? He was like at your parties, hanging out with you, high-fiving you. And now because he says I want to run Republican, you guys all hate him?
Hey, folks, I want to take a moment to talk about something that has truly changed my life, and that is Cardio Miracle, our incredible studio sponsor. Now, I'll be honest. When I first heard about Cardio Miracle and their claims about improving heart health, I was skeptical. But after using it for just about 2 months, I was absolutely blown away by the results. First, my blood pressure went from being consistently around 140/90 to a much more healthier and manageable 120/80. And my resting heart rate dropped from the low 70s to the high 50s. and I couldn't believe it. But the benefits didn't stop there. I started sleeping better, and I felt more energized at the gym, and my heart felt the best it's felt in years. And it's not just me. Hundreds of you, our amazing listeners, have reached out to share your own incredible experiences with Cardio Miracle. So, what is Cardio Miracle, and how does it work? It's a carefully crafted supplement that harnesses the power of nitric oxide to support optimal heart function. So by increasing nitric oxide levels in your blood, Cardio Miracle helps relax your blood vessels, improve circulation, and it protects your heart from damage. It's like giving your heart the support it needs to function at its best. And here's the best part. We've got an exclusive offer just for you, our loyal listeners here at The Brian Nichols Show. When you head over to cardiomiracle.com and use code TBNS at checkout, you'll get an extra 15% discount on your order. Plus, with their 100% money-back guarantee, you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. So, if you're ready to take control of your heart health and experience the life-changing benefits of Cardio Miracle for yourself, just click the link in the show notes or video description. Trust me, your heart will thank you. And don't wait another day to prioritize your health. Join the tens of thousands of folks who have already discovered the Cardio Miracle difference. Head to cardiomiracle.com now and use code TBNS for 15% off your order. Your journey to a happier and healthier heart starts today. And now, let's get back to the show.
And now, so that, to me, that was the 2016 was like that was it. Because I saw how quick he can't win. Ha, 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 ha. He's winning in the polls. He's racist. He's xenophobe. And I'm like, so that was awakening to me when I really saw how quick the public perspective, which is just mainstream media because they control the narrative, said how bad he was. And I knew he wasn't a bad guy. At least I didn't feel he was a bad guy.
I hear this a lot today, where there is really two schools of thought, Joe, and I want to hear your perspective on this. So it feels like there's the folks who they get their news from the traditional corporate media, right? And then there's the folks who don't. And it just, I see this all the time. I'll talk to somebody and they'll lead with some preconceived notion. Oh, Trump is name qualifier here, right? And I'll say, oh, I didn't hear that before. Where'd you hear that? And I'll play dumb, right? I'll be like, tell me where'd you hear that from? Well, I was watching MSNBC and ... right? And at that point, now I can't just be like, oh, well, that's fake news, right? I could easily say that because it is, but I'm not going to do that because I know it's going to shut them off. But it does open the eyes for me to see like, oh, okay, this person's entire worldview is through whatever the man on TV was telling them that day. Versus the folks who are the critical thinkers, who are independent in where they not just curate their information, but also the way that they disseminate that information, right? They're not just going out and promoting one side over the other. They're saying, hey, I'm taking some time to thoughtfully look through this stuff, better understand. I mean, shit, I'm going to talk about COVID for right now because that was, for me, one of the big blinking red lights of just like how there are so many folks who are willing to just listen to that TV and do what they were told. And I'm just like, well, this doesn't make sense. This is, all of a sudden we're being told who's essential and who's not essential. That seems a little dystopian, right? You listen to Phil Murphy over on Tucker Carlson, and Tucker Carlson, by the way, Phil Murphy, governor of New Jersey, and he's talking about shutting down churches during COVID. And Tucker Carlson says, well, what gives you the right as governor to shut down churches? I mean, doesn't that directly violate the First Amendment? And Phil Murphy says, and I quote, oh, Tucker, that's way above my pay grade. What? Hold on. As a critical thinking person, I'm like, no, that's not a response, right? You don't have that authority. You don't have that ability to do that. And yet there are people who'd watch that idiot box all day long, Joe, and they'd say, well, do you want people to die? What about grandma and grandpa, right? Oh, you hate them? You hate the nurses? You hate the doctors? You hate people? You want people to die? Go get your fourth vaccine, please. And that, for me, was very eye-opening. But it also spoke to me about how easy it is for those corporate entities to go after and I'm just going to use the lowest common denominator amongst us, right? And that right there, I think, is where we have a battle today, Joe, is that you have folks who watch the idiot box and they hear what's being regurgitated, and that becomes the truth, versus what the rest of us out there, living and seeing things for our own eyes, living and experiencing it, and I don't know, critically thinking, saying, it's not the world that I experience. That's not the world that I talk to other folks and they experience. It's what you're being told. So when we're looking at that mindset going into 2024 here, and we're talking about Trump versus Harris, I'm seeing the momentum on Trump's side. I feel the momentum on Trump's side, but I still get nervous, Joe. I still get nervous because of that avatar of that person I outlined, the person who sits in front of CNN or MSNBC or CBS or name their favorite 3-letter, 4-letter organization right now, right? Like that person will believe whatever they're told and then they vote. So my concern is, how do we get that person, even if we can't convince them or change their mind or unsell them on what they believe? How do we at the very least diffuse that vote? Is it us having more folks vote on the other side? Is it dismantling these power structures by and large so that the person who is watching MSNBC all day, when they do vote, their vote isn't as impactful because the actual entities that they're voting for don't have the teeth anymore? They don't have the power? Or am I missing something entirely?
Well, I think it boils down to a CIA experiment they did. I believe it was during World War II, where they brought in 18 people, which 17 of them are CIA agents and one unsuspecting woman. They put up on the screen a square. It was a square, and they asked every single person, "What do you see?" All the CIA agents that were in on it said triangle. I see triangle, 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 triangle. It got all the way to her, and she looked at that, and she said triangle.
Oh, no.
And it comes down to that perception is reality.
Yep.
That if they tell you enough times that the sky is purple, that the next person you talk to say, "Do you realize the sky's turning purple? Do you see that? Yeah, it's got a little purple tint into it, doesn't it? Yeah, it actually, me, I see it's bright purple. Well, I don't really see the bright purple, but I definitely see purple in it. It's turning purple." And it's all about mind manipulation. It's all about crowd, whatever that word is, where everybody, it's like a car
Mass
accident.
psychosis, hysteria.
Yeah, crowd psychosis, exactly. So it's like you see a car accident, you got 10 people that see it 10 different ways. And, that's why I don't believe eyewitness testimony should be held in court, but that's a whole nother story. But so if you really understand what the game is, and you have to look at it as a game, because if you don't, you're going to get very angry and upset and want to get so upset that you want to go hide in a golf course in a bush and shoot the president upset, like CNN and MSNBC turned that poor guy into, who had like Ukrainian hair. So they take the most susceptible, the weakest mentally, the dumbest people, and they literally can brainwash them into doing whatever they want. We really should have like an IQ, like separation of like knowing if like they're easily acceptable to stuff. And unfortunately, we have a lot of people in our country that's like that. Our education system is trained to enslave you. Raise your hand. I got to go to the bathroom. Raise your hand. Can I watch my son's soccer game? Because it's on a Thursday night. No, you're working late. And it baffles me when we're all God's children, right? We're all equal. Doesn't matter what color you are, what sex you are. I'm not even gonna say what gender you are, because I only believe there's two genders, but it's really just comes down to, we're all equal. And if we're equal, then why is somebody telling me that I have to wear a mask? Why are they telling me I have to get a medical procedure? I mean, they could tell us to take the jab, but then those same people telling us to take the jab say you have to get an abortion, or you can kill children. Totally fine. Like it's like we live in an upside down world, and I'm in the financial side. So it's a niche of how do I free myself from chains with 401ks and IRAs and SEPs, simples, pensions, bank accounts. Like you invest with the government, they're taking your stuff, whether it's Wall Street and fees, whether it's the government and taxation. And if you really figure out what the critically thinking people do, the very intelligent people and or the very wealthy people, because they're usually the same person. What they do is they use IRS codes, right? Remember that election I was talking about between Hillary and Trump? That same election opened my eyes big. When Hillary goes to Trump, hey, you're a bad orange man, you pay no taxes. Show us your tax return. And Trump says, I don't pay taxes, but I use the same IRS codes that your donors use, that you had 30 years to close the loophole. That, I don't understand why everybody wasn't searching up what the heck was he talking about, because that code was called IRS code 7702. That IRS code 0072 is how millionaires and billionaires, and now I can say trillionaires, legally never pay any taxes. Well, how can they do that? Because they never take income.
Oh.
Well, they never take income. That means they have zero income and they're broke and they can't live. Okay, let's talk about it. Let's say somebody like Elon Musk wants to buy a SpaceX rocket and shoot at our globe that's covering us, like the Disney logo, but we don't have to go down that rabbit hole. And Elon Musk takes out $100 million. He has two options. He can do what the average American does, which he can sell $200 million of Tesla stock, give the government $100 million in taxes, net the $100 million he needs for the SpaceX rocket, lose out on all future profit on that $200 million, and got his $100 million. Option one. Option two, what my clients do, thousands of them around the country, is they say, you know what? I'm going to take $100 million of Tesla stock. I'm going to bring it to a bank. I'm going to get a collateralized loan on that $100 million. So you know what? I still own it. And I still earn all the future revenue on it. And because I still own it and I'm paying the bank, let's say a minimal interest rate of 5%, because it's a hard collateralized asset. If you default, they have the money, just in a different form of currency. And now they give you a loan for $100 million. Well, guess what? Historically, in my strategy, that loan costs 5%. The strategy's been averaging 14.93% tax-free compounding annually. So can you imagine having a negative interest rate loan and 100% tax-free, by the way, distribution into your bank account? So now what does that mean? Well, he buys the $100 million rocket. He doubles his money. And while he's waiting to pay back the loan, he's earning revenue of, in historically, 9.5% on money that's not there, tax-free, which, by the way, is more than you're earning in your 401k, taking all the risk. He had no risk. And now he paid no taxes. So think about a wealthy person from age 20, 30, 40, even 50 that starts my plan. They can finance their own vehicles, never pay $1 in interest the rest of their life. On their retirement, they can pull the money out and never pay $1 of taxes in their life. Where do you think taxes are going? We owe $35.7 trillion in national debt. 27 trillion they stole from Social Security. 41 trillion in Medicare, which is more than our entire national debt they stole out of Medicare. And 220 trillion in U.S. unfunded liabilities.
That's just a gross number. Doesn't feel
all this
real.
can be found at usdebtclock.org. usdebtclock.org. Fact check me. So my clients are seeing what? They're seeing the very real possibility taxes are going to go up. And then they realize all their money is in their real estate, taxable, in their business, taxable, and in their retirement account, taxable. Remember that adjective? What's that? Don't put all eggs in one basket, or saying, whatever that other word, a junction,
metaphor, analogy. Well, it's something
analogy.
like that.
Yeah. Well, most Americans are putting all their eggs in a high-taxed, high-feed, illiquid, no downside protection account. My clients put their money in a tax-free, liquid, sue-proof. Remember the HIPAA laws from the jab? Nobody can know your personal medical information. Well, if you got $3 million in cash in your life insurance policy, nobody can know you have it legally. So it doesn't disqualify you for grants, scholarships, loan trade student loans, financial aid for your children. So right when all three of my kids were born, they all got policies. And do I care if they die, I get a death benefit? Hell no. I only care to give them the ability to have a big pile of money so when I'm not here, they have long-term care, life insurance, disability, critical illness, and a big pile of cash that they will always earn interest on until they die.
If you think you're supporting small farms with your coffee choices, think again. Many brands hide behind fancy packaging while sourcing cheap coffee beans. So you need to stop compromising on quality and on ethics. Clockham Craft Coffee was born from a desire for both transparency and excellence in the coffee game. They personally select every bean, ensuring top quality and fair practices. So experience coffee the way it's supposed to be. Honest, delicious, and roasted with care. Plus, an exclusive offer for Brian Nichols Show fans. Use code BNS10 for 10% off at clockhamcraft.coffee. Link in the show notes. And now, let's get back to the show.
Because in my strategy, there's something called non-direct recognition. Meaning, if you had $100,000 in the account and you pull out $90,000 as a loan for a car, for a down payment on a rental property, for college for your kids, a wedding, you still earn interest on the $100,000, even though 90 somewhere else, because the lien goes on your death benefit, which unfortunately, sorry if your listeners didn't know this, we're all going to die. It's guaranteed.
No. What?
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Nobody escapes this floating thing, planet, or whatever you want to call it, flat surface alive. We don't escape it. So if you're guaranteed to die, which you all are, don't you know when you buy a life insurance policy, the insurance company is guaranteed to pay it out to you? So what do they care if they accelerate your death benefit and give it to you while you're still alive tax-free? Because if the death benefit is tax-free, all the money that accumulates inside of it is legally tax-free. Infinite Banking, Be Your Own Bank, Rich Person's Roth, a book I've written called Being Your Own Bank. It's a very easy strategy that the average American does not know because they're not taught it. They're taught to do an IRA, individual retirement account. They're taught to do a 401k. And you ever heard of something, there's no free lunch?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think they're matching your 401k? Think about it. I put in 3%. Company puts in 3%. It's free money. There's no such thing as free money. So why? Why would a company do that? Number one is retention. The company thinks that if they offer you a 401k, you'll stay their slave and work their dreams because you're not working your dream. Two is they get a full write-off of the money that they put in. So it's not that big of a deal. Number three, the more money that they get their employees to invest in, the lower the fees are to the owners. Shocker. So a 401k benefits an employer more than it benefits an employee. If you want to look at things like Roth IRAs, cool, but they still have 59.5-year rule, 10% penalty, FILO, first and last out. You're not diversifying your downside protection. So my strategy, you cannot lose. Never lost a client $1 in 20 years. Never charged a client $1 in 20 years. 5.0 star rated on Google, A+ rated on the Better Business Bureau. Because at the end of the day, you have to do it at the right carrier, right structure, right design, right riders. And if you don't, oh, Joe, I'm fine. I got one of those whole life plans or one of those index things. I'm fine. 90% of them are going to blow up, meaning there's going to get to a point where it's not going to do what the guy said it's going to do. And by that time, it's 20 years later. So who cares? Like, the guy doesn't care. He just sold you, made you his commission, and took off. So you have to make sure it's structured the right way, mutual company, A+. You have to make sure you have index options, derivative options inside with no caps, high participation rate. It's not as easy as Oh, I work with some guy at a network marketing company who sold me one of those things. I'm fine. Oh, he's a plumber during the day, but he sold insurance at night. Yeah. There's a big difference, just to say. So that's something that my clients do because we can't really protect ourselves from the poisoning of our government feeding us, the poison they put in the air with the stuff they shoot out of the airplanes, which causes cancer. We can't protect ourselves with the manipulation and the brainwashing of our federal government, our school systems, and our mainstream media. But one thing you can do is protect the money that you have, that you're earning, from the government stealing half of it or more. Because I mean, in the 1960s, the highest marginal tax bracket here in the United States was over 90% taxation. In the 1980s, it was over 70%. So all this can be found by just doing your research. But you know what Americans are really good at? Being lazy.
Yup.
So what we're good at. And they know that. And the school system teach us to that. Because we have a past self, a present self, and a future self. And we're all brainwashed to only care about our present self. Screw our future self. It's not even guaranteed. Probably going to die tomorrow. YOLO, baby. And then they take advantage of that because they know the probability of you dying, called law of large numbers, is less than 1%. And what is it? 50% chance of dying before 78 years old. And take out the suicides, you take out the wars that we had. It's unless you drive 170 miles an hour or commit felonies every day, you're going to most likely live long. So if you're not going to care about your future self, who else is? Who? Like if you don't care about your health, something I didn't do, something you didn't do, Brian, and then who's going to take care of our health? It's only one person.
Yep. Guy in the mirror.
Yeah. And the problem is that we're trained in our society. Beautiful women, beautiful girls are trained to think they're ugly because they have some airbrushed version of a human that's not real on magazines. And they're saying that's who you're supposed to look like.
Mm-hmm.
And for men, they show unrealistic lives of driving Lambos and Ferraris and private jets and private islands. And like, that's who you're supposed to be. It's like, no, you're supposed to be a good husband, a good father. You're supposed to do the right thing. And you're supposed to work your ass off every day for the betterment of your children's future. That's it. That's what we're here for the next generation. We're just a chain in the cog. And we're just a piece of a DNA sequence. And then we're dead. So you want to have fun. You want to do the right thing. You don't want to listen to mainstream media. If you need tough love, get it, but then don't dwell in it. I mean, I go to like Tony Robbins events sometimes. Oh, there's these junkies. They'll just go and spend all their money on self-help and ruha and motivation and not do anything with it.
Yeah,
over and over and over. They just think they're doing something by hearing how great they are and how wonderful they are. And they're like, yeah, that's like me saying, I'm going to lose all this weight because I'm going to listen to a guy working out. So it's the same mindset. In your finances, you got to get a budget. You got to make sure you're not in debt. You have to make, because debt is cancer. Taxation is cancer. So you got to alleviate the stresses in your financial life. And most people, they're either too lazy, which is most of the time, or that's pretty much it. They're just too lazy. That's it, right? If you're fat, you're lazy. If you're broke, you're lazy. There's really, unless you have a diagnosed health condition, which I sympathize with you. My son has ADHD and my wife has some health ailments. I get it. But if you don't have anything really wrong with you and you're broke and overweight, you're just lazy. And admit it. I was making almost $1 million a year and I was broke and overweight until I'm doing something about it. It's that simple. You have to do something about it because if you won't, nobody else will.
Here. Folks, if this is your first time hearing Joe Lombardi on the Brian Nichols Show, well, guess what? He's been on the show before, and the past episodes were as good, if not, I'd say even better. I don't know. Is that even possible? Each episode with you, Joe, is like a top 10. So here's what my request is to members of the audience. Head down below into the show notes today. You're going to see all the past episodes with Joe. Go ahead, check them out. We've talked about a bazillion different things when it comes to the world of politics, when it comes to the world of personal finance. So please go ahead, check those out. But literally, Joe is one of, if not the smartest most trusted people in my world that I look to when it comes to personal finance. So folks, if you want to learn more about the different practices, policies, procedures that Joe is talking about here today to help put yourself in a better financial future, please reach out to Joe. You can find him at Ironhawk Financial. It doesn't matter where you live, Joe can help you. So please reach out to him. And if you like what you hear today, go ahead and check out Joe's awesome podcast, Money Talk with the Ironhawk. And you can find that wherever you get your podcasts. I know it's over on Apple Podcasts as the main home there. So please go ahead, give him a subscribe. And when you do, tell him you heard him over here on the Brian Nichols Show. Joe, any last words as we wrap things up today, specifically, about our Dallas Cowboys being so terrible this year?
We'd be here for 2 hours, man. I'll tell you this. If any of your listeners want all 3 of my books absolutely for free, just write an email to Joe at Ironhawk Financial. That's Joe at Iron like the metal, hawk like the bird, financial.com. And just put free books. I'm not going to try and hound you. You're not going to go on any type of mailing list. You won't be bombarded. When I send you the free list, there'll be a Calendly link. If you want to hop on my calendar, have a talk. We could talk about, investing or saving some money for the future. If not, read my books. It's called Being Your Own Bank. There's a better way than a 401k, and Long-Term Care Without Long-Term Pains. I'll send them to you in PDF. So it'll be free to me, free to you. It just takes me 3 minutes out of my life. But if it enriches yours for the next 30 years, it was worth the 3 minutes I did. So yeah, any listener, Joe at IronhawkFinancial.com, just subject free books, and I will send you those, plus my articles, my other 2 Forbes articles on my strategy, all the validation of, you're not talking to some scammer or some dude who doesn't know what he's talking about. So I appreciate you, Brian. I appreciate your show. Every time I see you, it just gives me motivation and know I'm doing the right thing and I can be where you are health-wise. And, I'm really happy we're friends, and I'm sure I'll be on your show soon.
Oh, likewise, my man. And by the way, the feeling is mutual, but I would say specifically from a financial standpoint, right? Because I'll end with this. I know we're over time, but that's been one thing, as I grew up, my family, we never really had money. We were a blue collar family. We were a family of farmers, for crying out loud, like farmer. My dad's a pastor. Like we did all that kind of stuff. And it was never like we were rolling in the dough. So talking about investing, right? It was talking about paying the bills. That was what the conversation was. It was going into the bathroom, opening up the old little wipe container and looking to see how much change we had so we could make sure we could go to the grocery store and get our groceries that week. That was the mindset. And I think my story is very indicative of a lot of other folks out there who never really learned money, right? We heard of what you could do with money, but you never really see it for yourself. So when you don't see it for yourself, it doesn't feel real. So seeing someone like you not just paint the picture, show how it can be done, but showing it's actually being done, that right there is one of the best things I can say. So Joe, thank you again for showing the way. Thank you for being a friend, and thank you for being a voice here, talking about all these very important issues. So I guess with that, we're going to go ahead and put a pin in today's conversation. You can find Joe Lombardi, again, Ironhawk Financial, Money Talk with Ironhawk. Email him, Joe at ironhawkfinancial.com. With that being said, Brian Nichols signing off here for Joe Lombardi. See you next time.
Thanks for listening to The Brian Nichols Show. Find more episodes at briannicholsshow.com.